Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Fragrance. I know it's been a while. It's been about 2 weeks since I've uploaded. I don't have like really a new fragrance to talk about today, or at least that I want to talk about today. I wanted to make a video because I've kind of been going through my current rotation for summer, and I've been thinking a lot about kind of what I want to wear going forward and kind of just my overall thoughts about fragrance. And I had some thoughts that I wanted to share with you guys that I've just been kind of dwelling on, and I just kind of want to put it out there. So, the reason that I thought up this video in the first place is I've been wearing a lot of Risasi HAWAS, which, as I've made a video on this, it's a fantastic fragrance. It's fantastic bubblegum, sort of aquatic, very easygoing, fresh, sweet, little tiny bit spicy, like great gym fragrance, great for warm weather. Can wear it in the colder weather because it's an eau de parfum. It projects quite strongly. But I wanted to make a video because I think that anyone who's into fragrances, to a heavy extent, will get to a point where you probably have a lot of bottles like this that are affordable, that are compliment getting fragrances, that just smell good, that you wear a lot. And you'll end up with lots of bottles like this. And there's nothing wrong with this. And trust me, there's nothing wrong with this fragrance. I love this fragrance. I think it's really, really, really just a beast, both in performance and just in what you get for the price. It's a beast. But I think you get to a point where I think you should start phasing out. I've been thinking about this. You should start phasing those fragrances out with at the very least, comparable price point fragrances that just smell more sophisticated, more easy wearing. And by easy wearing, I don't mean that they're more versatile in a way. I more mean that you can wear them in more situations without coming across as that guy that's wearing too much fragrance. And what I mean when I say that is, you take a fragrance like Risasi HAWAS, and it's a great fragrance and it smells fantastic. But the problem with this is that, at least for me, when I wear this, and this could be because of my age, I'm 27. When I wear this, I feel a little bit immature, and I don't mean that in like a negative way. I'm not trying to offend anybody when I say that. I just feel a little bit immature given the way that this fragrance comes across. And I think the age range of people that wear this is on the younger side, like probably like early 20s or 18, 19, 17. So for me, I feel like it's a little bit immature. And I, again, don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean literally the way it smells a bit immature, even though it smells good. Could say the same thing about Ultramall. I think that smells a bit immature, but I love that fragrance. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that I think that I've gotten to a point where I think I don't really see myself wearing this very much outside of maybe going to the gym. I think it's nice to replace these fragrances with fragrances such as, Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue, EDT, Versace Dylan Blue. Not saying that Dylan Blue isn't a little bit immature smelling itself, but I mean, this is just, it's a more well put together fragrance in my eyes, and so is this, than HAWAS. Now, the reason that I picked both of these fragrances to compare is because both of these can be had for, I don't know, a little bit more at most than what you'd pay for HAWAS. HAWAS can run you up to like $35-$40. I've seen it a lot cheaper now, more like $29-$30, but still, even at $30, given that you can get a full size 120 of, or what is it? 125 of light blue EDT for around $40, and you can get 100 ml of Dylan Blue for around, 40 to 45 bucks. I think that extra money that you spend is just, it's worth it, to be able to get yourself into a fragrance that overall I think is just more put together, easier wearing, and comes across more fit for your age, your profession, whatever it is. You know, again, nothing wrong with HAWAS. I want to drill this in. I think this is a great fragrance. I just think that at the point I'm at in my journey with fragrance, this is something I'm going to reach to way more often than HAWAS, because this is just a much more sophisticated fragrance to me. It's more easy wearing. I don't feel like I'm choking people out when I wear this. Whereas HAWAS, if I put more than 4 or 5 sprays on, I definitely feel like I am choking people out with the scent. Dylan Blue, little bit of the outlier here, because you can definitely choke people out with this, and some people would say that this is an immature smelling fragrance because it's just full of ambroxan and just overly sweet and synthetic. To me, I actually don't get that. Obviously I get that for the first hour of the fragrance, but once it starts drying down, this stuff smells excuse my language, freaking fantastic. Absolutely amazing. I love this fragrance. I'll do a video on this fragrance in the future, but for the money, this stuff is incredible. And I can throw this on, and I don't know what it is. It's like an innate sense of, I feel better knowing that I'm wearing this than knowing that I'm wearing this. And I think I have to attribute part of that, at least, to the fact that, these ones are designers. And however you think about it, I genuinely do think there is something to say about the fact that when you wear a designer or a niche fragrance, you just feel better about yourself and what you're wearing than when you're wearing a clone, or, I don't know what to really put Risasi in. I would say they are a clone house, and but more so a clone house that really does more of a twist. They're definitely a clone house. I mean, one of their most iconics is La Yukawam, which is a clone of, I believe, Tuscan leather. And you could argue that this is a clone of Mont Blanc Legend Spirit, or really more a clone of Invictus. But it kind of does its own thing. I think HAWAS is really one of the exceptions, where Risasi, this line, Risasi really kind of did its own thing, despite being very similar to other fragrances. But it still nevertheless feels to me like I'm wearing a clone house fragrance when I put it on. Whereas, when I put this on, I think to myself, I'm wearing a Dolce & Gabbana fragrance. I don't care that I spent $40 on the fragrance. I can tell myself that it's a designer, and it just feels a little bit better. I'm not saying that to sound cocky or to come across as, pretentious or anything like that. I just mean, literally, it feels different to wear a designer or a niche fragrance than it does to wear a clone. That's just, you can argue with me about it if you want. That's my opinion. Along that line, though, I would even argue that if you're wearing something like HAWAS, you love it, stick with it. If you really love a fragrance, wear the hell out of it. Don't listen to anyone. Don't listen to me. Whatever. In my own experience, I'm gravitating more towards, even in the clone realm, I'm kind of phasing things like this out, and I'm reaching much more towards fragrances like Fragrance World Imperium, which is an Elysium clone. And even though it's a clone, and it actually costs less than HAWAS, almost $10 less. This is actually one of the cheapest clones you can get. It smells fantastic, and it smells more mature, more sophisticated, higher end to me than HAWAS. It's put together quite well, And like, I'm going to reach for this more. After too long of wearing this, I have started to feel like HAWAS really, like the stuff I loved about it when I was first enjoying this fragrance, I still pick up and I still really appreciate the fragrance for what it is, but it's kind of melded and kind of meshed into this concoction of just syrupy sweetness that is a little bit rough for me to deal with. And I don't mean that as though like it makes me want to throw up or anything. It's not off-putting. It's still a great smelling fragrance. It's just that when I smell it, I kind of just get this syrupy sweetness, and I'm not picking out the nuances that I used to, and it doesn't have that invigorating like freshness that it had. It kind of just smells like syrup to me. And that could be just attributing to the fact that I have been wearing this so much, but really I think it's more of the fact that just, now that I've started kind of diving more into the designers in my collection, I'm realizing like the difference in quality and how the scents come across versus HAWAS. And I'm just going to leave it at that. I think that the point of my video is that it's not to say that if you're wearing something like HAWAS or anything else that's similar, that you should go out and buy a replacement. I think I'm trying to get at more of the point I'm at. I own lots of fragrances, lots of designers, niche, and clones. I'm getting to a point where I don't see the point in wearing my clones unless it's a fragrance that is a great clone of something that is much more expensive that I can't afford or have the money but don't want to drop the money on like the crazy expensive fragrance. Imperium would be a great example of that. I'm not going to pay the money for Elysium knowing that I can get a really nice clone like this. And I've smelled Elysium. This is really close. But, these two that I've owned for a while, I'm diving more into these. I'm reaching for these more often. And that's just the point I'm at, the point I'm trying to make. If you have them, enjoy them. Regardless of what anyone says, don't listen to me. Listen to me. Do what you got to do. Enjoy your fragrances in your collection. Stay fresh. I will catch you guys in another video. Bye.